Alright. Welcome
Oh,
to
what's
the
up?
TheoryCraft Cutting Edge Podcast, week 3. We have myself, Electro, Boone, and Vice here today. Vice, do you want to do a little intro?
How's it going? I'm Vice. I've been in TheoryCraft since the end of MOP, and I play DPS. And yeah,
Hell yeah.
Any specific DPS?
I played a lot of DPS for the guild, usually melee. Played a DPS warrior so far in this expansion. It's not looking great.
Not looking great indeed.
It's not.
But you did get a little, you did get a little buff, and yeah, that's why I had to jump ship from Fury Warrior, because I just saw, the icy veins shit and DPS meters, and I had to say bye to my favorite class.
You saw the writing on the wall that Warrior's not a real class, and just Blizzard wants to get rid of them because they're fucking shit. They
Okay.
died with Varian, and they're gonna stay dead.
Okay. You went from Fury Warrior
All warrior?
to Brewmaster, and you still do more damage. It's kind
What the?
oh wow.
Too bad he can't stay alive on Dark Vein.
Okay, dude.
Well, speaking of Dark Vein,
Speaking
hi,
of,
I'm Dylan.
Wait, what?
Dark Maiden,
Sorry,
sounds good.
I'm not good at these.
Real Dark Vein.
go ahead, finish that.
What's up? I spoke, but I didn't have a purpose.
Okay, well, let's talk about heroic Castle Nathria bending us over. Because going in, I thought we were gonna wipe the floor, and then it turned out that heroic was a lot
It's the other way
more
around.
difficult than everyone expected.
Yeah, I mean, apparently everybody, including the people that beta tested, did not expect it to be that hard. Because it wasn't that hard on the beta, and in past expansions or just past raid tiers in general, heroic is not. It's like a little bit of a challenge, but mostly just because of gear and not really anything else. So we pretty much just expected to clear over half of the heroic bosses in the first night, and we learned very quickly, or maybe not so quickly, after an hour and a half of wiping on Ultimore, that we were not going to be able to kill it.
Yeah, I definitely think there were probably some last minute touches going from beta to actual live. Because a lot of that stuff was definitely overtuned, and from what I saw, a lot of the guilds that did like kill bosses in the first night were like 30 man, so maybe like bigger raid was just had more of an advantage killing those bosses.
Yeah, well, they clearly tuned it more than they expect, or it was way overtuned because they nerfed it just the next day. So someone cranked up the numbers a little bit too much before raid release.
Yeah.
I know some classes who got Sunseeker just like they just couldn't survive, like no matter what.
Yeah, it was. That was some of the most insane like dot damage I've seen, especially on like heroic.
Fucking the tank damage on that shit was insane too. Like I was holding the fucking boss and just getting like melee shot by his like auto attack damage, and it was just so much. Like it was
Yeah,
insane. How
and the
much physical damage he did.
third phase of Baltimore is supposed to be the one where all the damage is going out, and we were just getting like DPS were getting effectively one shot by like the phase 1 mechanics. Um, but after they tuned it down, I think heroic is still a lot more difficult than other previous tiers, but it's a lot more manageable, and I actually like the increased difficulty personally.
Yeah. It's the raid's definitely a lot more fun having it be a little bit more difficult. even when it's the first raid of the tier or of the expansion. Usually, like the first raid of the expansion is kind of like easy, and then it gradually just gets harder. But we started off real hard right
Yeah,
off
they
the
did.
bat.
Yeah, I think I'm glad that they didn't create like a throwaway raid at the start, and they went with like a, a 10 boss raid that is actually challenging with like a good villain, a good theme. And I was talking to Poon earlier about it, but it feels sort of akin to the way Nighthold felt in terms of the raid. And they were both 10 boss raids. And it was pretty difficult, and it's definitely way harder than most first tier raids have ever been.
I do hope that Denathrius is a bit more of a show on heroic and subsequently mythic. But
Yeah.
on normal, once we got past Sludge Fist, the raid was pretty much over. And I'm not quite sure if the same is carried over for heroic, but seems like Sludgefish is the big bad of the raid right now.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we were expecting Sludge Fist to be a pushover. Like we knew it was a DPS check, but we
They did buff
yeah.
him like a couple weeks, or like last week before the raid came out.
Yeah. The third to last boss is the hardest boss of the tier, which is pretty strange. Normally it's like either the second to last or the last boss. And I feel like it's like it's not even supposed to be that hard. It's just like the numbers are tuned higher than the other bosses.
I mean, we've seen that stuff before. Like, I mean, another reason that this raid reminds me a lot of Nighthold is, like, we can think back to remember how hard fucking like High Botanist was, or like Starauger. Like, both of those were like pretty insane. And then I mean, Elisan was still pretty hard too, but by the time we got to her, she had been nerfed.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of really hard bosses in Nighthold, especially those like Allurial or Spellblade, Botanist, and Augur. But Gul'dan was still the hardest boss of that raid, which is how it should be, in my opinion. Should
Yeah.
always be the hardest, the last boss.
Especially
From the
with that
looks
Illidan
of it,
phase.
yeah. From the looks of it, like there's only been 5 guilds on our server that have killed Sire. So, and I mean, all those guilds are like really good guilds, like top like 100.
Hmm.
So, I mean, like top 100 US. So,
Yeah, but the thing with that though is a lot of those guilds can't get that haven't gotten killed Sire or can't get past Sludge Fist, and it's like Sire Denathrius isn't the wall; it's even getting to him, which is the problem.
While George and I were going over like the strats and like the healing CDs, we did notice in Mythic Sardonathrius that there was a tooltip that said that only Denathrius knows what lies beyond the mirror. So we're thinking that that's gonna be like a secret Mythic phase, kind of like Illidan phase with Gul'dan.
Garrosh, secret Garrosh phase, Garrosh.
That'd be amazing
I
because that was in
I
the
heard
that cinematic thing, right? Garrosh was in
I don't
Ravendra.
want him. I don't
that
want
he
him
was
to
being tortured.
be. I don't want him to be a boss. Like, I want him to have like a I don't know,
Redemption
like a
arc.
redemption arc. Yeah.
What if he helps us? What if we have to break him out of like what his torture, and then he helps us kill Sardonathrius?
I mean, I think that would be sick. What if like Garrosh turns into being like the leader of Rivendreth?
His true horde.
I don't think he should hold any more leadership positions, but
I think he's lost his
get a redemption arc.
I
That's
mean, did
fine.
he really do anything wrong in the end?
Yeah, he's just not gonna have very good references, so I don't think we can give him any more leadership spots.
I think he's definitely lost his ability. But yeah, I think it'd be cool if like he was just in a little bit of a secret phase. I think that'd be exciting. But yeah, I definitely hope whatever that special phase is on Mythic, it's really fucking hard.
I hope so too.
I bet you
Uh,
do.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mythic Sardonathrius, who do you guys think are gonna get world first?
Um,
Uh,
not too familiar with a lot of the world first guilds, but I would still put my bets on limit either way because I mean they feel like if you once you've got world first, people are just like the good players around the world, or at least in North America, are always going to want to try to flock to your guild. Like you have the best chance of getting the best players.
Do you see
Um,
Limits Max's tweet the other day?
no,
He said if
what did it
anyone
say?
has BOE from heroic or normal, message him and he'll pay for it. So he's getting funneled shit ton of BOEs. They have over 150 level 60 characters. They are as prepared as they possibly can be. I think they did 10 Sardonathrius splits as well.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
insane.
they're definitely going harder than pretty much any other guild.
The
Also
only
benefited from Method kind of falling apart in the summer. So I mean, Echo is still a very good guild, but it's a new guild. It's their first tier rating together.
Thanks a lot, Method Josh.
okay, dude.
We don't talk about him around these parts.
That's what I was gonna say. Is Echo would be like the only other competitor.
Yeah, they'll probably be close.
What ab- what about what about pieces?
Pieces, maybe. I know Andy Brews
I
and
don't think they
Pieces.
rate enough.
They don't.
I mean, the issue with the world first races, there's only like 2 or 3 guilds that'll rate enough, even like the first week, and then after that it starts to fall off even more to just Limit and
Didn't
Echo.
they just get world first? Like
Ooh,
yeah.
Pieces. That's because that tier didn't last. I think it was only lasted like 2 weeks or
Oh,
something. They were able to raid, especially when a lot of other guilds weren't.
so they're what?
A lot of other guilds weren't able to.
God. Don't slip up in front of Poon. You'll
Yeah,
roast.
yeah, brother.
But yeah, it'll probably be limit. But honestly, I'm rooting for the good thing about having someone who's clearly uh, the front runner is makes it more exciting when underdogs get close because you're kind of just rooting for them.
I mean, that's how it was for like 3 tiers or like longer than that. Honestly, forever is like the U.S. guild. Last year was the first year they finally won since like MLP.
Yeah,
I mean, I want Limit to win just because I don't think there's any other guild. I mean, I'd rather have Method win.
Method doesn't exist.
Yeah, they do. They do exist.
I think
They're
Oh,
what
you're
rank?
talking about Method. Method. Oh yeah,
Yeah, like
they reformed, but they're not like world first guild anymore.
they're trying to
yeah, I
be.
think they're just trying to rebuild this tier, and
Yeah, but
then
you
they're
can't
probably
lose
gonna
all
go
your
harder.
players and
Yeah.
Look, I'm still rooting for them. All right.
I mean, you can root for them.
it's a little sus though. That's
I'm
all I'm
rooting for Sko. Okay, I like him.
They did a pretty decent amount of split runs too. So
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
trying. They're trying. They recruited a shit ton of people. Um, they have like literally rebuilt from the ground up. So it's like the underdog story. Like I want them to do well, even after all everything that happened. Like I don't really blame Sko, and I've always liked him, even though his fucking UI makes me wanna
dude,
kill myself in a video game.
his UI is crazy. He has so
It's
many
gotten a lot
numbers running.
better. It's gotten a lot better, but fuck me, man.
Um, but yeah,
Also,
transitioning. Finish that.
I was just gonna say, I was watching his stream the other day, and his UI is just such a mess. Like, he gets knocked off the platform on heroic Denathrius, and it's just fucking hilarious. His chat just starts roasting the shit out of him. I don't know. I just thought it was pretty funny.
What's wrong with that?
It's just really cluttered. Like he has a lot of shit just all bunched up in the middle.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. And like he has all the numbers, the healing he's getting on the right, and all the damage he's doing on the left from like his
Yeah.
ability. So there's just like a shit ton of numbers flying in your screen.
I don't know how people play with that shit. I need to like make my screen as like with as little
I don't
as
know if you
possible
should
on
be
it.
talking.
I don't know. My UI is very small.
Didn't used to be.
I mean, you definitely exaggerate how bad my UI was.
Dude, your fucking DPS meter took up half your screen.
It literally can't even take up half your screen if you enlarge it to the max size.
My DPS meter is. I have 3 boxes. I trimmed it down to 2. I did damage, the healing, and the deaths, but now I just have damage and deaths. Then I switch it between healing and deaths.
You need one to tell you when to taunt.
Okay, dude, I'm watching those canisters, man. Trying to get that precise timing.
Yeah.
And then I look over and you have 4 stacks.
It's just funny every time I get an extra stack, I just hear, "Oh, Poon, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be like that sometimes. If you can't take 4 stacks, then
Yeah,
Those
I'd
4 stacks
fucking
hurt like a motherfucker.
took this shit like a champ. Didn't even proc.
But yeah, for guilds, like in our situation where we only raid 2 nights, I know we did some off nights this week, but yeah, definitely Gearus. Again, we want to reiterate, very sparse. Um, so a PSA would be go do Mythic Plus. I wanted to try to explain the Great Vault a little bit since I've been like looking at it a lot. Um, so if you do a 10, you'll get 220 eye level piece. If you do 4 10s, you'll get 2 chances of 220 eye level. And if you get 10 10s, you'll get 3 220 eye level pieces in your Great Vault, which I think is the most efficient way to do Mythic Plus in the Great Vault this week. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, I think 10s are like easier than like 8 and 9 just because you get the buff if you just like know what you're doing. So there's no reason not to just do 10s, especially if you can get the keys in a group.
Dude, and yeah, I love the prideful buff like a lot more than the obelisks, and I don't know if it's because I came in at the very end of BFA and I just didn't get used to it, but I really didn't like the obelisks, but I really love the prideful.
Well, the obelisks help with skips a lot, and like a lot of these dungeons and Shadowlands are very linear, so you don't need as many rogue skips as you used to. But the obelisk helped like not need a rogue, right?
Yeah, it's so nice not needing rogues. Like I hated having to rely on always putting a rogue in or having like everyone have invis pots and you're like trying to pug because you can't like have a full guild group and you're like, oh, I can't trade you a fucking invis pot, gotta wait for you to go to fucking org. It's just really annoying because you get people from off realm. But the fact that it is more linear and you can just kind of go through and as long as you have your route or the count that you want for percentage, like it's pretty good.
yeah, I hate rogues too.
Oh boy.
Fuck them.
I mean, they're still probably the best M plus DPS, but you just aren't required to have one to
If you play the right spec.
time a key.
I don't know. I think Marksman Hunter is probably the best that are balanced druid.
You
For
just say the nerf?
damage, I mean, like, yeah.
I saw like people running double marksman hunters, people running double boomkins, um, fire mage. Uh, what else was on there? Those are like the top 3 that I was seeing this week. But hunters just got a nerf like an hour ago, and boomkins, uh, and unholy DKs got their mastery nerfed. So unlucky for them.
Strange that those are the 3 top DPS, except they're just, I guess, forgetting about Shadowpriest. being strong. It's like it's kind of strange because going into like pre-patch, everyone was just talking about how disgusting Shadow Priests were and how broken they are, and now I feel like I've only ever heard people complaining about DK's marksman hunters and balanced druids, even though Shadow Priests are at the top.
Yeah, I was not expecting Unholy DKs to skyrocket the way they did. But, I guess some sort of scaling happened. I don't know if they
Yeah,
got buffs going into the expansion. I didn't see.
it's looking just like it's their mastery because that's what's being targeted. Um, yeah, I don't really know what made them so OP, but they are a clear outlier.
True.
Um,
I just,
I think these nerfs, the 5% damage reduction to aim shot and arcane shot, I don't know if that's gonna be a whole lot. What do you guys think? To knock them down?
good advice.
Oh, I mean, I was just gonna say, I feel like the problem was more their AOE, like with volley and stuff. So this will affect it a little bit, but I don't know if they really needed a single target nerf that badly. I mean, they do a lot of single target damage, but it was more than bursting to like ridiculous numbers in Mythic Plus.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've never felt like when they do these type of nerfs where, oh, let me pull them up again. I had them up in front of me.
The Boomkin got nerfed. The Boomkin legendary got nerfed, and I know we had some people in our guild message me about that legendary gonna be getting nerfed. So they were correct. And
Yeah, but I
I'm
don't think that's a big nerf
Yeah, it seemed kind of light-handed, honestly. That's kind of
because they
less
just
than I
don't
was
want to
expecting.
kill. They don't want to kill boomkins. And what I was saying about this marksman nerf, like aim shot and arcane shot, like reduced by 5%. Like I just never feel like these nerfs where it's like 5% here, like a 5% buff to your damage to this ability, or 5% nerf. Like I don't know, that it just never feels like that's anything that's meaningful. Like I feel like it's kind of like, I mean, it is a nerf, like in by definition, but it always feels like it's more of a placebo because like what is 5% really going to be taking off your damage, like 100 DPS? Like I don't know.
How did it feel after the 5% warrior buff? Could you feel it, or was it just?
I mean, I don't. Maybe. Yeah, like Poon said, it's a couple hundred DPS at best, so it's not really anything noticeable, and especially where warriors are at, that's just not gonna cut it.
Yeah, like these classes, like marksman at the top, them getting a 5% nerf to both of those, like it's not gonna do anything. Like they're still gonna be top damage. There's just so much more that they would have to like hit like way bigger. Like the 20% effectiveness reduced for unholy seems like that could be a lot bigger of a nerf, but like these little 5% here, 5% there. It's why Feral Druid and Windwalker always stayed so bad because they would literally just get like these small 5% touches, 7% like buff to all damage. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It also
Until
just kind of shows that they don't really know how to properly buff the classes, I think, is when you just like slap a flat all around percentage. I just think that's super lazy. Like it just shows that you don't actually know what the weakness of the class is, or you're just afraid to actually touch it. Because I mean, there's like I don't know, like Vice could probably enlighten us on what warriors actually need, but
I mean, like
definitely just
Fury just needs like single target, yeah, and I mean just they could buff like individual spells like Bloodthirst and Raging Glow for that. Yeah, I don't know. The difference is like the problem is like if they're giving us an aura buff like the 5%, like they just can't turn that up too high because then their cleave starts to get out of control. But that's they'd be better off buffing individual spells than just doing 5% overall.
yeah.
Dylan, do you want to talk about the Outlaw Rogue spiking in Castle Nathria this week? Do you think it's gonna change coming into
Uh,
Mythic?
I mean, I just noticed it. But yeah, I thought like subtlety is actually apparently like performing more towards like the bottom of the middle, which was surprising to me for because everything I read was that they were gonna just be like one of the top 5 DPS, but apparently just I don't know if it's the conduit that Outlaw runs because when I was looking at it, it looks like that their conduit is just like a massive DPS increase, but um yeah, they're just popping off in Castle Nathria, and I don't really know much about Outlaw, but I always thought they were more just like random RNG. Like if you get lucky with your roll of bones, then you'll do a lot of damage. If you don't, then you'll do no damage. But it seems like I guess they're consistently doing good damage, or maybe the outliers are carrying the meters. I'm not really sure, but I definitely think subtlety or assassination should like probably be the raid specs. I think outlaw is I don't know. I don't think it's a class designed well for raid. It's very RNG focused, so I think it's like a good mythic plus class, but either I would prefer subtlety or assassination to be on top because I think they just play better in bosses. So hopefully, well, they're being in the middle of the pack is fun. So as long as they don't get nerfed or something, then I'm fine with it.
Do you think Outlaw will get any changes or sub? And Assassination's
Probably,
like on the very. I think Assassination's the worst spec right now on the meters that were released this week.
yeah. I know they did get some buffs, but yeah, like it's the same thing about just giving really bad classes just percent increases isn't enough. Like there's got to be specific things that they change higher than just like 5% tunings. But honestly, I would be surprised if they nerfed Outlaw. I don't know if Outlaw's ever been like top in raid. Um, but it's not like it's one of those top 5 classes that are just super high outliers. It's just pretty surprising that it's the #1 rogue spec for raid.
Yeah, I was very surprised too, and I was surprised actually Feral Druid and Windwalker were making their way up this week, and I'm not sure if it's gonna continue next week. Now that everyone's gotten their gear, but
Oh,
we'll see.
Windwalker.
Stop.
Windwalker.
And even Survival Hunter was up there too, which was surprising.
Okay, let's be serious.
I didn't get like it was just like it was crazy. I don't know if like those discords got together and like uh tanked their parses on purpose or what, but
Have you looked at the actual like the raid logs from Warcraft logs for what it looks like right now?
yeah, we were going over them the other day. I don't know about today, but I think it was like 2 nights ago we were
Uh,
going over it. I thought I linked it to you, or was it? No, it
y-
was Dylan
y-
and Elliot, I think.
yeah,
But yeah, it
it's
was crazy.
it's pretty nuts. I brought them up right now, and I'm looking at like 99th percentile, and it's so crazy. Like all these classes towards the bottom, like Fury Warrior and Assassination Rogue are just tied as just bottom of the tier shit stains.
Yeah.
Makes me so
And
sad.
then yeah, like oh, it's so bad, man.
Do you think Vice with more gear, uh, that Fury Warriors will start rising up, or do you think they just need super hard buffs at this point?
No, they're not even close with like their output. Arms is closer than Fury, but they don't have a good legendary.
Yeah, arms still looks really bad on here too. Like, I don't know, it's just sad. Like seeing warrior. Dude, Windwalker monk. What the fuck?
I don't want to talk about it.
Holy Jesus, dude. Windwalker's actually the highest melee besides Unholy DK.
Don't look at it.
Man, you fucked up.
If you don't look at it, I can't hear you.
Okay, buddy.
I oh, listen.
But
all
you're
right.
enjoying
Imagine
Rogue, right?
Yeah. No, I like Rogue. I've always said that I think Windwalker is like the most fun spec to play, in my opinion, of course. I think it feels the best to play. Like the whole design of the class is just that it's supposed to flow. Like your rotation flows like better than any other class because you pretty much never press the same button twice in a row. Um, and so that just feels amazing to play. Um, and I think in the past, Windwalkers didn't do well with borrowed power, especially especially with like corruptions and stuff. Apparently, so it was pretty much everybody figured that they would be towards the bottom, but I don't know if it's just the early expansion, low stats, or what. But
You
We'll
still have
see.
time.
Would
I
you
really
would you debate re-rolling Windwalker for the next tier if they're still on top?
Yeah, I potentially because like I kind of like I've assumed a new role in raid where it's not really so much about me doing like a lot of damage, and rogues have a lot of things that can help the raid more than windwalkers. Like I have an immunity. Um, I have a lot of defensives that I can like soak extra stuff or stuff like that. So rogues are probably just more beneficial for the raid overall.
Yeah, you gotta remember with heroic numbers too, those aren't gonna be the same numbers you see on these same fights on Mythic. Classes like Windwalkers typically don't do well in Mythic.
Yeah.
'Cause like Dylan said, the rogues bring a lot more to the table.
I mean,
So
I'm happy he's not playing Windwalker anymore. Holy fuck.
That's
okay, dude.
That's toxic.
I mean, it's not like I was holding us back or anything. Let's be real.
I mean, it's just nice to have a reliable rogue. TheoryCraft hasn't ever really been known to have a reliable rogue. We've had rogues that wanted to go survival hunter. We've had rogues that cock a gun every time we died.
He was taking the
We've
outlaw
had
rogue a little too seriously.
we've had rogues that would blink into bombs. We've never had a rogue quite like you.
Well,
Bottom of the DPS meter.
okay, man.
All right.
I can link some logs on fights that we've actually killed.
But yeah, I think having the rogue is good. Obviously, rogues will always bring more utility than a Windwalker.
You know, and they're pretty like honestly, they're probably the two of the most similar classes in terms of like building up points and having energy and whatnot.
I mean, I think Feral's probably the most
Well, yeah,
similar
I
to
mean,
Rogue.
Pharaoh's closest to Rogue, but like the gameplay is still
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Windwalker and Rogue is still pretty similar. It's probably the closest to Windwalker than, or yeah, it's the closest thing to a Windwalker.
I feel like Red's probably closer to Windwalker, but
It, it's just not.
It's true, actually. I can see that.
yeah. I think Feral to Rogue is like Red to Windwalker. Like,
Uh,
yeah, no, blew your mind. It's fine.
I need to.
Okay.
I just don't agree with that opinion, but it's fine. I mean, I played Windwalker and Rogue more than you, so
Have you
I
played
probably would
Red?
know better. I actually did play Ret for like a year before I joined TheoryCraft to play Windwalker.
Well, you would know that you build it up, you spend it.
Oh, like Rogue?
Yeah, but Rogue has like bleeds and shit that you apply to the boss.
You have one bleed. That's the only difference.
Mm,
How do you think we're gonna do on Tyrannical next week?
I think I think it's gonna be really hard. I think a lot of these bosses are like we kind of got away with it because it was fortified, but I think a lot of these bosses are gonna be impossible to kill in Tyrannical.
We're
you
gonna
really think so?
we're gonna have to
Yeah,
get the prideful for sure, like before every boss.
I think like 10 there's gonna be like certain 10 keys where or like 10 plus keys where the bosses are just too hard to kill for sure. I don't know. I'm trying to think of
I can think of the one in
what
Halls of
I'm thinking
Atonement,
about.
the lantern one. Without, we're gonna go through those 4 lanterns pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. So in like Halls of Atonement, the third boss, even on Fortified, she consumed the 4 lantern. She was like pretty close to consuming the 4 lanterns. And then once there's no more lanterns, she just like raid wipes you or group wipes you. And on Tyrannical, she's like not even gonna die close to as fast as she does on Fortified.
We would need both stone gargoyles and prideful and probably lust on that fight.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I just think like I think a lot of these dungeons, like yeah, there's definitely gonna be bosses where it's gonna be kind of difficult. That's what Tyrannical is meant to be anyway. But man, I can't think of one dungeon that doesn't have just absolute fucking ridiculous trash that just makes like high keys so unbearably toxic. Like it's pretty fucking insane. Like how much of a struggle some of the trash can be, and I feel like we're just gonna be blowing through trash on tyrannical keys to
Trash will be
where
easier, but I do know that like Tyrannical Grievous was a really bad combo in beta, and that's what we're looking at too as well.
for next week, it's gonna be Grievous.
Well, yeah, I think so.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm just being pessimistic about it, but like the bad ad pulls, that's one thing, but there's a lot of things you can do about bad ad pulls. Like CCing properly interrupts and whatnot. But if the boss is just like doing way too much damage and just has too much health, there's really not much you can do. I mean, if you go on like a big boss fight, or like one of the really hard bosses, and you lust, and then you wipe, and you don't have lust for the next one, the key's just kind of dead at that point. Um, and I
Um,
think there's a lot of boss fights that are gonna be like that.
those guys that spawn the pride, like the NPC, do they come only after you deplete the key, or do they come?
I think they come after you deplete.
Uh,
But
okay.
I mean, maybe we'll see. I think they will probably need to do some tuning for the bosses. I think there will be some keys that people are just not killing, and they'll complain about it on Reddit or something. But I just from my experience and my class is designed for just single target damage, and it's like really shines in dungeons. But even for even in keys that I did, some of those bosses were coming down to the wire on Fortified. And Tyrannical, I just know we just wouldn't have even stood a chance.
I could see the last boss on Theater of Pain being just insane
Yeah.
as well.
the important thing for next week is just to make sure you actually know all the mechanics for the boss fights, because it was the same thing I saw a lot of in BFA. People just think you can just overpower 5-man dungeon bosses, even if you're in a key. And honestly, the mechanics on this fight come down to a lot more importance than you think sometimes.
True.
For sure. I'm hoping it's not too hard because I really enjoyed doing Mythic Plus this week.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think it'll be impossible. I think you'll still be able to do up to 10, but I think you'll need, like you said, strong single target DPS and people that really know the boss fights.
Yeah.
And like I said in the beginning of the podcast, please do your 10-10s to get 3 chances of 220 pieces, and you could pick one of them. That's just like, it's so good, and the 10s aren't even that difficult if you know like the route and like the mechanics of like the bosses and the trash. You can get it done in probably like 1 or 2 days if you're just starting right now. Oh, I mean it's Monday, but hopefully you did a few 10s or a few Mythic Plus. At least get 110 for a 220 piece. And also a hot take, Poon, that like you said last week, PvP.
Yeah.
I was
PvP.
I was looking at the gear, and it's 200 eye level, and for me there's like 4 like best in slot stats on pieces.
Definitely where a lot of really nice loot drops. Like I still need a PvP.
And a tip for anybody who has two-handed or one-handed weapons, they cost 900 conquest, and if you cap this week, you'll be able to get a weapon next week. And since a lot of the best weapons drop from Sardonathrius, it is definitely worth to do PvP.
Yeah, I think I'm oh actually I just got a 203 weapon, so I don't know if I'm gonna replace it with a PvP piece, but I know what was I saying, Dylan? I forget. What was
It
it?
was your
My
chest.
chest, yeah. That has verse crit on it. Verse main stat.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna do that. And if people get PvP pieces, uh, it's a higher chance they're gonna be able to trade other loot as well. If that's the only piece they got, if they're not spamming Mythic Plus.
Very true.
Yeah, I think PvP is a very underrated thing that more people should do. But Mythic Plus is pretty fun, so
I think
see why people just want to spam that.
Logan was telling me limits strat like on their off nights after they did their 10 splits of Sardonathrius was getting their 10 10s and then also PvPing afterwards, getting their 550 conquest cap for the week.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we did it in like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You and me. So it's not like a week's long grind or anything. You can just do it in a couple hours, as long as you're not completely shit at PvP. There's probably some classes that are gonna suck at and struggle a lot more, and we did Rogue Brewmaster and did pretty damn well.
But yeah, that's probably the best way to get loot this week. We'll see what happens next week with Tyrannical. But yeah, that's all I can think of for getting gear for Mythic Castanethria.
Yeah. Just gotta grind out those Mythic Plus and do that PvP. I think as long as you do that, like people are gonna gear up, and it's really important to have gear right now because these bosses going into Mythic, I think, are gonna be pretty tough.
Definitely want to get rid of that Heart of Azeroth if you got it.
Imagine having that. Oh boy.
Having a 3-year-old Nick.
Well, that's all I got for this week. Dylan, you don't have anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to bring up?
Um, I don't think so. I think
Boone?
that's it.
It's pretty much for me, honestly.
Vice?
That's it. Just gonna get back to raiding and watching this world first race next week.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I think limit, but I can I don't know. I feel like I want to root for an underdog like Poon. But yeah, we'll see. Anything you want to share?
Imagine that story, dude. Method comes back and just pulls it out somehow.
That'd be kind of crazy.
Be cool, but I think people would be mad about it.
Fuck them.
Yeah, you want to shout anything out, Dylan?
Yeah, go subscribe to the TheoryCraft YouTube channel. We post the full podcast there every week. Also, if you scroll down pretty far, you'll find some incredibly embarrassing videos that I made a long time ago. So for blackmail purposes and whatnot. But yeah, definitely go check that out.
Poon?
Yeah, I want to shout out this website. I think it's called destiny.gg.
All right.
Go there.
He's not gonna marry you, dude.
You're just so jealous and it's fucking ugly.
All right. Vice, anything you want to shout out?
Shout out to Blizzard for 5% Fury Warrior buff. Appreciate it.
Let's go.
Hey, Ellie Shaman.
Let me know I'm about to hit 60 on my shaman. So good
Are
luck.
you Ellie or enhancement?
Elemental.
Ooh. All right. Well, check
I got a
out.
5% nerf on my rogue because no warrior buff. But that's fine.
No, Garanar, don't worry.
All right, check out Dylan's stream, twitch.tv/electro, Poon, twitch.tv/poonerboy, I believe, right, Poon?
Whatever, dude.
You change it like every year. I can't keep up. And
True.
then my socials are Coach Trey on pretty much everything. And yeah, go subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell on the YouTube TheoryCraft channel, and we'll see you next week.
Wait, hold
Later.
on, wait.
What?
www.twitch.tv/destiny.
All right. All
He's not
right.
gonna marry you.
Okay, later.